Hey cousins, I'm Shemaya. It's like papaya, except it's not, and this is Plot Twist Please. Go ahead and hit that like button. Let's get into it. The dreaded double text. You know her well, age-old nemesis. You've texted them once, but maybe they didn't see it. Maybe they're busy. You definitely understand that, right? Or maybe they're trying to send you a nonverbal signal to get lost. How can you be sure? You figure the only way to be sure is to double text. The phrase, if he wanted to, he would, comes to mind, almost as simultaneously as the phrase, guys like it when girls make the first move nowadays. You're stuck. Whatever you do, you'll fail the test. So, your apprehensive fingers fumble across the screen to seal your fate. Text sent. Today, I wanted to talk about dating. And mind you, this introduction is going to be longer than most in this podcast, but you will soon see why. Trust me. It's time for some opinions. Oh no, somebody stop me. I, personally, am of the belief that anyone who dates must have a death wish. Especially as a woman in cis heteroland. Yes, it is giving sad. This belief at one point was so ingrained into me that I, at a certain point, thought to myself, I'm not, nor will I ever be ready to date. Now, don't get me wrong, baby, I am the catch of the day, every day, and that won't change. I'm sure I'd make a great girlfriend or wife, but dating is something entirely different. I believe that people who date are the bravest people on earth. You literally have to be like, yes, hit me with your car. Please, good sir, do chop my ear off. Darling, do me a favor and drop a few doses of arsenic into my tea, won't you, darling? You have to be willing to die on the inside. Just to die on the inside today. You have to be willing to look at your guts on the floor in front of you and say, welp, let's do it again. I'm more of, you poke me, I'll bleed. In case you're getting too scrambled in the noggin, too jumbled in the cranium. This is where I make the distinction between dating and relationships, particularly as it pertains to monogamy. According to Madame Webster Dictionary, yes, homegirl, to date is to make a usually romantic social arrangement to meet with someone. Now, if you just heard the definition and went, huh, then you are me and I am you. Because what does meet with mean? Is it physical intimacy? Is it a quick chat over coffee? Is it a stroll in the park? Is it grocery shopping? In meetings that exist outside of those specifics, like a phone call or, God forbid, a Snapchat, is that dating? And the word romantic does also puzzle me a bit, because I know people who date without the intention of curating a romantic connection. Now, maybe it's the tism in me, but from what I've seen, people who date for fun, romance is not the intention. I'm on the autism spectrum. Hello, how you doing? Welcome. But from what I've seen, most people date, quote, for fun. And in some cases, when that dating becomes romantic, 9 times out of 10, the romantic part is not intentional. Or at least that's what it looks like, right? From media and from all these stories that we hear, right? That's what we're hearing. Even with all these disparities, this is actually as concrete as we're going to get on this episode when it comes to a definition of dating, and honestly, probably in life. Y'all neurotypicals got all kinds of phrases for, I'm seeing someone, we go out, we've been going out, we went out, and none of these apparently means you're officially official. And it doesn't matter how long, some of y'all will be dating for 5 months and don't want to put a label on it, which is your prerogative, but it makes it confusing. Being someone's partner, calling them your girlfriend, being in a monogamous relationship, or even being on the track to monogamy is not the same as, quote, dating someone, right? Girl, I don't know at this point. Y'all let me know in the comments if that's right, because that's what it looks like to me. I just heard the phrase, quote, flirty friends to describe a romantic dynamic, and it made me want to, I know about friends with benefits, but for what? Friendly, flirty friends? For why? Y'all, we have bills to pay. Are people that bored? Let me know. Have y'all heard of Sudoku? Ladies, can we be honest? Ladies, look at me. Can we be honest, please? I'm reeling it in because we're getting into patron content, which you will see on the Patreon if you're a patron. If not, then we're going to go back to talking about relationships. All right, here we go. Anywho, I want to make one more note about dating and relationships before I get into the nitty-gritty of this episode. Hold your horses. I know plenty of women who date for fun, and I know plenty of men who date with the pursuit of a relationship. But I can't imagine the autistic lover girl that I am dousing myself in raw meat juice and standing in the middle of a wolf pack. If you know, you know. I know me, and you may not know me like I know me, but I know, That leads us to the main course, my love. Strap in. That was me putting on my seatbelt. neurodivergence. Trigger warning, intimate partner violence, and relationship abuse. If you didn't know this already, autistic people are more likely than non-autistic people to find themselves in romantic situations where they are taken advantage of, or, worst case scenario, abused mentally, emotionally, physically, and even financially. Let's talk about why that is. Now listen, girly pop sugar bear, I'm not trying to make this whole episode a spook fest. I'm not trying to spook you, but some of it will be. So bear with me. We'll get to the fun stuff eventually, I promise. One of the reasons that autistic people are more likely to be in these dangerous situations is because of, one, unspoken expectations. Due to the inconsistencies I mentioned, there are no rules when it comes to dating. Now, I know you may disagree with that statement, but let me explain. There are rules when it comes to monogamous relationships. Like don't secretly text your gym buddy when your partner is asleep, and don't go on dates with other people, things of that nature. There are no rules for daters that point to what's morally right and what's morally wrong. The exception I can think of is, not ghosting. That's like the one rule that everyone agrees across the board is holds true. Just don't do it. Be polite. But even then, trying to find people to interact with who follow that rule is as pointless as trying to enforce rules against jaywalking. I follow every single rule, and I love America and I love rules. So basically, there are no rules for daters. I reiterate. It doesn't matter how long you've been dating someone. If you never made it official, they have no right to be upset over you not responding to their text, then a week later posting a picture of your current boyfriend and you. Like, it's just, you were never officially in a relationship. You never officially made an agreement, so they can do whatever they want, kind of, regardless of things that are implied between you, even if you celebrated your birthday together, even if they took you on a trip to France. If you weren't official, you weren't official, that kind of thing. Shoot, you may even have met their parents. If they don't call you girlfriend, they could be married tomorrow. That's the reality of the situation. At least from my neurodivergent eyes, that is what it looks like. That is what I've interpreted as an observer of neurotypical culture. Okay, because I'm an observer, because we have to be. We have to be. And this is where I have some gripe with dating culture, right? Because it's like you're not allowed to be upset over things that are objectively evidence of someone using your emotions, using your stake in something against you, or using it for their own personal gains for very selfish reasons. It's like there is no dating police. People can do whatever they want and it doesn't matter. When people say that dating in 2024 is like the Wild West, this is what they mean. And if you don't know, autistic people don't tend to be great with nonverbal communication and unspoken expectations. Now, as life goes on, eventually we have to learn these mechanisms in order to survive and not be, called a weirdo. But it's a part of the diagnostic criteria to not inherently know these rules that everyone else seems to know without being told them explicitly, or without having to endure intense trauma in order to learn them. I think a lot of us, after a while, are just like, so many non-autistic people who relationships have just happened to because of dating, and it's a little infuriating. It's a little, when we realize this, that everyone else just gets to flow into these romantic relationships and we have to work extremely hard. Because for autistic people, it really does feel impossible. It's the unsolvable equation, and you're the only student in the classroom who hasn't figured it out. That can feel really isolating and frustrating, and you can start to think that there's something wrong with you, that you haven't figured it out because there's something wrong with you. Because as a student of romance, as a self-proclaimed PhD student of the arts and sciences of the romantic attraction and relationship building, yes, I've noticed a consistent pattern with how it seems to work for non-autistic people. And this is how it happens, as I've observed. Someone finds you attractive, or you find them attractive, then one of you send the other a magical signal that tells them you're interested romantically or physically, if it's just physical, just physical. The other person understands the signal inherently and beep boop, beep boop, beep boop, beep boop, calculation asks them out on a date. That is innately understood as a date or hookup or whatever. But it is innately understood as such without communicating that that's what it is. Next, you get to know each other on a different level, right? Maybe on a deeper level. You either are official after some time, or you go your separate ways for whatever reason. Now, this is the important part. If both of you are happy with that, you remain cordial with one of the people in this coupling was dishonest, there's going to be bad blood. If one person doesn't take the separation well, there might also be bad blood. That is my analysis of the non-autistic experience. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'll be linking my dissertation in the comments. Let me know in the comments if you think I missed something, if you think it's accurate or inaccurate. What do you think? What do you think? What do you talk? That being said, autistic people who do desire relationships don't necessarily have it easy. Their encounters tend to be a little more like this. Someone finds you, an autistic person, attractive, or you find them attractive. Neither of you say anything. Nothing, not a zip. Because you, as an autistic person, you have never viewed yourself as a potential romantic partner or candidate, if you will. For any kind of long-term relationship, you never thought you were viable, right? Or you are afraid of coming across as creepy. So you bury it. You bury it, you bury it, you bury it, you take it to the grave. If you have access to the person, who you're interested in, who makes your heart flutter, you pretend you don't notice them at all. And then when you feel an ounce of courage after, watching a few rom-coms, you still stay silent for at least 3 years because you need to assess the situation and be sure that they like you back. You know for a fact that you don't have any tools beyond a romantic confession. So you use your little detective skills because you have so many of them. And you let your spidey senses do their magic. And by spidey senses, I mean like charts and diagrams in your head and calculations to see if it's possible that this person would want to smush your face. But not having the tools really does terrify you. You've never been in a romantic relationship, let alone dated anyone casually. And fun fact, most autistic people have very few or no romantic relationships at all throughout their entire lifespans. Can you guess why? Social skills. Ding, ding, ding. We're getting smarter. You are getting smarter, audience. Look at you. If the other person does in fact like you back, they send a magical signal that lets them know that you're interested romantically or, just physically. You don't understand that a signal has been sent. No. If you do notice that a signal has been sent, you assume that they hate you or that they are uncomfortable around you because you are not used to any other kind of reaction. Maybe for a slight instance, you think, what if they like me back? But your track record of only knowing things to be true that are stated directly to you wins that mental battle. So you can't rely on it. You can't rely on that evidence. If they really like you though, or, really want to sleep with you, or, are bored in 2024, they send you a second magical signal. Next, one or two things can occur. The first possible outcome, if you do not notice that a signal has been sent, you go about your merry way and, the flowers are still blooming, the freshly baked bread still smells delectable, and your day goes on, and you give up, and the other person gives up, right? The second possible outcome is if you do, in fact, notice a signal has been sent, you do not inherently know the intention of the signal. And depending on how much you like them or depending on how long you've liked them, you may think it's more serious than it is. While they're thinking, they're kind of cute and I don't hate talking to them, or they're interesting, because we are so interesting. Autistic people are so interesting. Yes, we are. But yeah, it's very casual for them and you don't know that. Someone asks the other out, whether it's you asking them out or them asking you out, but neither one of you uses the word date. I mean, can you imagine saying, wanna go on a date? Weird. Something that is written in a young adult novel by someone who has never ever dated anyone. That's what that sounds like. It's giving robot. I mean, have you ever asked someone, wanna go on a date with me? No, most people just say, want to get ice cream on Saturday? Or let's go to a movie. Want to go to a movie this weekend? Or what are you doing next Friday? That's what people do, right? That's what people say. That's what humans, I don't know what humans do. You, having absolutely no frame of reference whatsoever, except movies and observing your friends' romantic encounters completely from the outside, don't know what this means. You don't know if it means as a friend, as a lover, as a potential romantic partner, or just, as a flirty friend. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. You don't know. You just don't know. And you don't dare ask because you're supposed to know. You don't even know how to ask yet. This is probably the first date-like excursion you've ever been on. And you can't scare them away. Oh no, don't scare them away with your questions, with your clarifying questions, because then they're not going to think you're a cool girl. They're not going to think you're chill. And what are you if not chill? Next phase, you get to know each other on a different level. Maybe not deeper level because you're autistic, so you're probably masking the whole time. So they think that they know who you actually are, but they don't know that you're an expert masker. Even though you probably know everything about them because you're extremely observant. That's just the way it goes. I'm sorry. We know y'all better than y'all know yourselves. That's just the way it is. Later, after time passes, you either are official or for whatever reason, you go your separate ways. You are expected to know, this is important, you are expected to know which of these it is without any explicit communication. If you don't know, purely based on vibes, then you've already lost. If both of you are happy with that, though, say it wasn't gelling, it's fine. Or maybe you got busy and decided you didn't have any time or social energy to date anymore. You remain cordial. If the other person, however, was dishonest, for you, the autistic with a strong sense of justice, because that's how we are, there's bad blood. If the other person was dishonest by omission, which is, still dishonesty in my opinion, for you, the autistic who doesn't catch on to social cues, there's bad blood. If the other person expected you to know what they wanted without explicitly telling you, for you, the autistic who needs direct communication, there's bad blood. And what a trip we just took together. Now, I'm not here to lecture you. I'm just trying to paint the picture. Are autistic people saints when it comes to dating? No, nobody is. But their specific circumstances make them more susceptible to harm than anybody else. We didn't even talk about trauma. We don't talk about trauma. No. But yeah, trauma has an impact too on how autistic people interact with other people they could be potentially interested in. It's a whole, pathology salad. If you're an autistic person, this is your wake-up call. The one that helps you realize that generally people are selfish and there's no guarantee that the person you date will be decent or honest or try to leave you better than the way that they found you, or at least in the same condition. Sometimes the person who gives you the wake-up call does it out of childish recklessness, the way a toddler doesn't know that if you keep hitting the toy against the pavement, it'll break. Sometimes they do it because they know there's no dating police and they'll never have to answer for their crimes. Either way, the result is the same. Years pass before you allow yourself to have romantic feelings for any other person. Because not only were you blindsided, not only were you an easy target for people who are comfortable being dishonest when it comes to relationships or when it comes to dating, but you actually thought you were smart enough to pass the test this time. And that hurts the most, honestly. Not passing the test, that is the hardest. Not passing the social test. Yeah. That does it every time. The second reason why autistic people are more likely to be taken advantage of in dating is because of ambiguous boundaries. Now, let's be careful when we talk about this, because a lot of us move through the world having to be in extremely uncomfortable situations in order to get through the day. Whether that be wearing clothes that are itchy, having to endure loud noises, passing cars, beeping horns, trains, intercom systems, eye contact in general. Y'all be want to look me straight in the eye. Why? Why y'all need to look me straight in the pupillettes? Okay? We don't need to be doing all that. In general, we're used to having to deal with sensory overload and our personal boundaries being crossed. Our neutral state of being is discomfort. That's why it's extremely difficult to notice when we are in situations where our boundaries are being crossed or where we are being put in unsafe situations. Yes, some of us get taken advantage of because we have low self-esteem and we think that we should accept the way anyone treats us. It's a battle that an autistic person might struggle with for their entire lifespan, for a very large chunk of it. But many of us get taken advantage of because we don't know what it looks like to be taken advantage of. We don't know what it looks like for someone to lie to us consistently. We don't know what manipulation looks like, feels like, sounds like. Looks like we don't know. And there's no rule book to tell you this is what a manipulator does. Well, there weren't, but there are more now, gratefully. But It takes a while to really put things into perspective. We don't know what's normal, and the people who take advantage of us tend to be aware of that fact, unfortunately. They know that we don't know how we're supposed to be treated. They know that we won't make a fuss. Gross. 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 Gross, gross, gross. Gross. A little bit of a personal anecdote. I remember my first official friendship being with someone who called me ugly and stupid every day. Every single day. Do I wish I would have stood up for myself? Of course. But I find grace for myself based on the fact that at that time, I didn't know that standing up for myself was something that I needed to do. Not to mention that based on social rules, there are right ways to defend yourself and wrong ways to defend yourself, especially if you live in this body with this skin tone. Like, y'all know, we're not allowed to be angry. Y'all already know. I think that's another episode. Or maybe that's just for the patrons. We gonna see how y'all act on this video right here, and then maybe you'll be ready for that other one. Maybe you will, but show me you know how to act with this one. And the third and final reason that I'll point out as to why autistic people tend to get taken advantage of in relationships is lack of community. As mentioned earlier, a lot of autistic people, due to our lack of social skills, tend to be loners or have few relationships altogether. So every romantic connection feels more dire. It seems like it's the last connection that we might ever have when we find one. You know, when we find a romantic one in particular, it just seems like that's it. That's all we're going to find. I think we also need to acknowledge that whoever you are, admitting romantic feelings for someone is embarrassing. Oh my God. It's embarrassing. It is liking somebody is the worst. It's the worst. But autistic people have less opportunities to actually play out these scenarios. So on the outside, it can look like immaturity on their part, the way that they're behaving, but it's actually just a symptom of being a late bloomer. You know, when sometimes people will be classified as, quote, creepy or odd or immature because they move differently than someone who has had several opportunities, several lovers, several gentlemen, lady callers, to play these scenarios out, to practice detaching, to practice saying no, to know that something else is coming for sure. We don't have that inherently. And that doesn't mean that crossing boundaries that are explicitly set is okay, because, you know, boundary is a boundary. And also, like, it is always okay. It is always allowed to not be in somebody's life, to not be in community with someone. Absolutely. But I think people, when it comes to things that are different, when it comes to particularly people who they are not used to navigating relationships with, it's easy to discard them. It's easy to discard people we don't understand. And let me remind you that most relationship boundaries, not relationship, but most dating boundaries are implied. Like, it was a guide we were supposed to read that got dropped off at our doorsteps, and for autistic people, the mailman just didn't come. Like, they just didn't get delivered to our front door. Where's the guidebook? Did y'all miss my house? It seems you did. And I will add that some of us don't want to ask our friends, you know, if we have them, our close friends, hey, what do you think about this dating situation? Because we are afraid that it'll reveal our inexperience. Even though we're going to have to get over that. Y'all going to have to get over that, because sometimes your friends will save your life. Sometimes your friends will stop you from getting into heinous situations with men who secretly have girlfriends and don't want to tell you. No, it's fine. We're moving on. I don't know about you, but something that I think is central to the autistic experience just in life is the fear of being the creep next door. You know, if there's anything we don't want, it's to be somewhere we aren't wanted. That is the last thing that we want. So if you are someone who has a relationship with an autistic person and you want to like scoot your way out, set us free. Tell us. Do not just disappear. Do not just expect us to leave you alone. We will think that we are the problem. We will think that we've done something wrong. Even if it's just not a match and that's it. We will think we've done something wrong if you just completely disappear. We will think that we've hurt you. We will think that we creeped you out. We will think that we weirded you out. Please just tell us. Just tell us. If you truly care about an autistic person and you truly do not want to harm them, be explicit about not wanting to be in connection with them anymore, not wanting to be in community with them anymore. Be explicit. It is the kindest thing you can do for us. Trust me. This is why we would rather take our romantic desires to the grave if it means we don't get labeled as the creepy person with the crush. We would do anything to avoid that. If it means we die alone, we would do anything to avoid that label. We see it in media all the time. When neurotypical people can't understand a certain behavior, they fear it. And there is nothing more dangerous to a neurodivergent person than neurotypical fear. Now, this is where I turn a corner in this episode, because we are absolutely capable of connecting with people, whether they're neurodivergent or not. I have had friends who were neurodivergent. I have had friends who were not. Good friends on either side. We are capable of being good friends. We are capable of being good partners. But here's the part where I don't think we can blame anyone else. You, as an autistic person, as a neurodivergent person, can't make the connections you want if you do not seek them. Don't stuff me in a locker, okay? Yet. Hear me out. It's hard to know who to trust. That's true. People are clumsy, but we can be clumsy too. We can be clumsy with other people too. When was the last time you reached out to someone and sought to know how they were doing without coming from a place of scarcity, without coming from a place of, I need someone to like me, I need someone to need me, I need someone to want me? When was the last time you did that from a place of abundance? When was the last time you made a decision about a relationship that was fully rooted in your power? A lot of us are caught in these cycles where we accept less than what we deserve because we're starving. Having feelings for someone, okay? Having feelings for someone is never a reason that you should choose someone. Yes, there should be those feelings there if that's something that you want, but that shouldn't be the deciding factor of whether or not someone is for you. People can want you who are no good for you. You can want someone who is no good for you. How someone treats you should be the reason you choose them. Period. How they treat you should be the only thing that you're tallying up on your list, okay? And neurodivergence and all, having the power to choose who you are in community with, who you allow to take up your energy, your time, and who you allow to have intimate access to you, that is something you are fully in control of. I do think people get taken advantage of. I do. And that's wrong. Clearly. But in order to want better for yourself, you have to know who you are. You have to know that if somebody who's in your life disappeared tomorrow, you are still you. What you got doesn't change. You have to know that if you are in a situation where someone is not treating you well, or someone is making you feel like your wants, your needs are small, like you're doing too much just because you want to know that this person prioritizes you and values you, that person has to go. You have to know that you deserve better. And here's the thing, here's the trick, right? Here's the magical element in all of this. Once you know that you deserve better, better is coming. For whatever reason, it just shows up. Once you start pursuing that thing that you deserve, the thing you deserve is also pursuing you. And you can take that to the bank. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Like, share, subscribe. Share this with a person who you think needs it. Comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know what your thoughts are about dating and neurodivergence. I want to hear them. Be blessed. Stay weird.